You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back On Air with Chris Shanafelt as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class. And I'm now joined by the wide receiver turned tight end standout from Drake University. He's Devin Cates. And Devin, we really appreciate you taking the time. We are officially 1 week away from the start of it all, beginning on April 23rd through the 25th. How's everything going as we've, officially hit the home stretch of this entire draft process?
It's definitely been a very interesting last, 2 months or so. I've been out in Florida for the last 2 months training at a facility out in Tampa. Just grinding, I was really most of my training was geared towards having my great pro day numbers. Was unable to have an actual pro day due to the coronavirus pandemic, but was able to do a virtual pro day, record everything, get times in. So we're really happy with how I did on that. I just think it's a crazy time, not only in my life with the draft coming up and all that whatnot, but, just everything that's going on right now. So right now I'm in good spirits. I'm in positive spirits, just trying to stay prepared, trying to stay ready for, whatever's to happen in a week or so, and, just be prepared for what's next.
Well, you mentioned it, Devin. Obviously, this will be your only time going through this process, but it's been the most unique draft season I've covered for unfortunate reasons caused by the coronavirus outbreak, which caused most pro days and NFL top 30 visits to cancel. You mentioned your pro day was a part of those that were canceled. I mean, what exactly has the past 4 or 5 weeks been like since the country has kind of gotten hit by this virus? I mean, has it impacted your everyday training leading up to the draft? You mentioned how your pro day was canceled. How about just training in general? Have you still been able to keep up with that?
I've been able to get a lot of training sessions in still. Kind of geared my training more towards on-the-field workouts right now, just because I don't have a ton of access to a full weight room at the moment. I'm still getting lifts in, still getting workouts in, but a lot of it's geared more towards on-field stuff, footwork, technique, route running, catching balls, stuff like that. So a lot more fine-tuning training now, and opposed to strength and, speed training. So just trying to be prepared to, get out on that field.
That certainly makes sense, especially since your virtual pro day is now behind you. Just kind of take us through what exactly the draft process has consisted of, though, since your senior season at Drake ended, Devin. I mean, how quickly did you begin your combine training down there in Tampa, and where exactly is it that you're training at throughout this time?
So I graduated in December from Drake University. Came out to Florida about middle of January. I spent some time at home with family after graduation. Came out to Florida. I'm training at a facility called Cooper Sports and Performance. The head trainer there is Dr. Josh Cooper. He's a really great guy. He used to be the trainer at the Olympic facility in Colorado. He's trained tons of NFL guys, MLB guys, NBA guys. So very experienced, very knowledgeable guy. Was able to hook up with him through my agent. My agent had a connection with him, so I was able to get out there. I trained with a group of about, I think it was 12 guys total, so it wasn't too big, wasn't too small, but it was good to, be able to train and still have that little bit of competitiveness and, pushing each other and whatnot.
Certainly. So the virtual pro day, Devin, do you have any numbers that you put up at that virtual pro day, or any idea what those might look like at all?
Yeah, everything was timed by Dr. Josh Cooper. He's been doing it for 20-plus years, so I'd like to think that his timing is pretty accurate. I ran 2 40s. My first 40 was a 4.65. My second 40 was a 4.59. I broad jumped 10 feet one, had a 36-inch vertical, a 4.25 shuttle, I believe, and then I ran a 6.9 three-cone. So all pretty good numbers, all right about where I wanted to be. I definitely think athleticism is one of my selling points. to teams. And I think I'm very athletic, can move very well for, my size and weight. So it was definitely good to put up those numbers and, just showcase my athletic abilities.
Yeah, I mean, just going through those numbers as you're rattling them off, I mean, you put those numbers up with some of the guys that were at the NFL Combine at the tight end position, and you're really right at the top of that list. Height and weight, I see the latest listing on the Drake website has you at 6'5", 240. Is that about where you're at right now?
That's a little inflated as far as height. I'm about 6'4", true 6'4", and I weighed in at 255 the day of my virtual pro day. So I sit around 250 to 255, anywhere in between there, depending on the time of day, and I'm 6'4".
Fantastic. Again, we're chatting with the wide receiver turned tight end, Devin Cates, 2020 NFL draft prospect out of Drake University. And Devin, talking about your journey a little bit, your career there at Drake University. I mean, you're from Yuba City, California. What was the recruiting process like for you coming out of River Valley High School, and how the heck did you land in Des Moines, Iowa at Drake University?
I get asked this question a lot, actually, so I'll have a pretty extensive answer. When I went to high school, my high school was only, I want to say, 5 or 6 years old when I was a freshman, so very new high school. I was actually the first person from my high school, football-wise, to go on and play at the Division I level. When I was going through recruiting, I played quarterback my junior year. I played wide receiver my senior year, so I didn't have a ton of film as far as wide receiver went, and most of it was for my senior year, so kind of late in that recruiting process. But I had a family friend who was kind of my middleman in recruiting. He sent out my film to tons of schools across the nation. My biggest thing that I told him was I wanted to go somewhere that not only would I be able to excel on the field and athletically, but also somewhere where I'd get top of the line education and somewhere that'd be able to set me up for my future after football. Because, as much as it's tough to say, football ends at some point for everybody. Whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's professionally, it ends at some point. And so, what you do after that and the education that I wanted to receive, I wanted to, set me up for those future steps. So I ended up getting in contact with a coach from Drake, Coach Brad Pohl. He really liked my film. They flew me out on a visit. It was the first time I'd ever been to the state of Iowa, actually. There was about 2 feet of snow on the ground, so something I wasn't used to, but definitely wasn't opposed to. My host for my visit was actually Eric Saubert, former Drake University tight end, current Chicago Bears tight end. Played a couple years in Atlanta, and he's now on the Bears. So stayed with him. I just got a really good sense of camaraderie throughout the team, throughout the coaches. It really felt like a brotherhood and a family. I feel like schools around the nation, everyone's going to preach that, oh, we're a family, we're this, we're that. I really felt it at Drake, and just, from the interactions from coaches to players, from strength coach to players, I really felt it. And it was kind of a leap of faith for me. When I decided to go there, a lot of people were surprised just because so far away. But I was ready to get out. I was ready to do my own thing. And I felt that Drake University was a place where I could excel both on the field, in the classroom, and, set myself up for the future. So that's how I kind of ended up there.
And you certainly set yourself up for the future in all of those phases. It certainly looks to have worked out for you just fine. As you mentioned, you graduated in December, and now here you are on the doorstep of the NFL. You redshirted your first year in 2015, and in 2016, you were actually playing wide receiver before making the switch to tight end, Devin. What went into the thought of you changing positions from receiver to tight end, and how instrumental has tight end coach Steve Flynn been to your growth at the position?
So I came in as a wide receiver. I weighed about 200 pounds. Redshirted my freshman year. I was very grateful for that, actually. I was able to get into the weight room, really grind. I put on about 25 pounds of muscle my freshman year, so I went from 200 to 225 just like that. I played my redshirt freshman year in a more receiver role, and then as I continued to get heavier and stronger, I got up to about 230, 240. I moved into a more big slot sort of move guy, someone who can line up in the slot, who can line up outside, who can also line up in the backfield as a fullback, H-back. And then technically, on paper, I'd be a tight end, but my position at a Drake was technically an H-back. So I was moved around a ton. I was in the wing a ton, even in the backfield as a fullback. So my selling point, which to teams now and to coaches in college, was my versatility. I felt that I could line up as a receiver and had the skills to be a receiver. I felt like I could line up as a tight end and had the strength and size and ability to block. And I felt like I could, be moved around in different positions and formations and, cause problems for the defense. And so that's kind of just by putting on size, that's kind of how I naturally moved into that role. And again, just being able to stay on the field through all personnel groups, whether that was a heavy package, whether that was a speed package, I wanted to make sure that I was in on all of those and I could be in any position. And so it was really fun. My last 2 years at Drake, got to play a ton of offensive snaps. There were some games where I took every single snap on offense. So that was fun, kind of transitioning into that role. And then definitely this last year, my senior year, definitely got into the blocking role a lot more. We ran the ball a lot more. We had a new offense. And so it was fun to, stick my faith in the guys and, have success in the run game. So then obviously that's going to open up the passing game. Steve, you mentioned Steve Flynn. He is our tight end coach. Awesome guy. He was actually a coach my freshman year. He went off and did his own thing for 2 years working for DB Sport. Came back my senior year to be our tight end coach. But because of my kind of flex position, I worked with a variety of coaches, mostly working with our offense coordinator, Brad Pohl. So I was, in and out of tight end meetings, in and out of receiver meetings, in and out of offensive line meetings, kind of getting a feel for everything. That way I could translate that onto the field and, line up anywhere and, do anything that my team needed.
Well, Devin, as you mentioned, the more you can do, the better your chances are. You have obviously experience at H-back, tight end, receiver. You said there were games where you played every offensive snap in the game. You're a proven threat to the passing game, no doubt about it, as a pass catcher. You mentioned this past season as a senior, you guys ran the ball a lot more, and you kind of were able to show off your blocking ability. How confident are you in that aspect of your game? We talk, and obviously nowadays it's a lot of shine on the receiving ability from the tight end position in general, but how confident are you in the blocking aspect that you bring to your game?
I definitely think I'm an extremely physical player. I played defense my whole life growing up, so I knew how to tackle guys in high school. If you would have asked me my senior year what I would have played in college, I probably would have told you defense. When I was being recruited both as a outside linebacker / strong safety and a receiver. So I definitely have that physical aspect to me. I'm definitely not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid to stick my face in a 300-pound nose tackle or a 225-pound linebacker. It doesn't matter. I'm physical. I'm explosive. I think I'm definitely something I've been really working on is just my technique. My base. My hands, stuff like that. That's going to really, really, really matter at the next level. But as far as physical ability and strength and power, I think I'm definitely have what it takes to compete with the best.
He's Devin Cates, the tight end out of Drake University, 2020 NFL draft prospect here on air. And Devin, coming into Drake, the Bulldogs had a very talented tight end by the name of Eric Salbert. As you mentioned, he was a guy that was around you even back when you were being recruited to Drake and you were visiting the university. You were around him. Obviously, he would go on and play in the Senior Bowl. He got drafted in the 5th round by the Atlanta Falcons in 2017. Now he's a member of the Chicago Bears. How much does it encourage you to see a fellow Drake Bulldog, a former teammate and somebody you're very familiar with, go on and have the success that he's had thus far at the next level?
It's been awesome. Me and Eric are still close to this day. We talk every now and again. I actually just talked to him a couple of days ago on FaceTime. But yeah, it was huge for me. Obviously, just coming in and seeing how much success he had before I got there. I got to play alongside him for a year. That was awesome. And I always say he kind of paved paved the path for me, and I still feel that way. He kind of got Drake back on the map a little bit. Being a non-scholarship FCS school, I feel like we're overlooked as far as professional prospects, and maybe we don't have 10 or 12 like some schools, but every couple of years we may have that one guy, and so I definitely feel like he was a huge role model to me while I was at school. Still is, I still look up to him. We still talk, all that, but yeah, he definitely paved the way for me, and just gave me that belief that if he can do it, I could do it too, and we're pretty similar as far as physical stature, as far as strength, whatnot. We worked out together all the time, and so I'll, in the back of my mind, I always knew that I had what it takes, and so to see him do it definitely kind of just instilled that belief in me even more.
Yeah, and he's not the only one from the Pioneer Football League. I mean, this is a conference that has produced a lot of really good tight ends over the last few years, whether it be your former teammate Eric Salbert or Stetson's Donald Parham, who was a standout in the XFL and recently signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. There's also Ross Dwelly, formerly of San Diego, now with the 49ers. And then this year, you got Adam Troutman of Dayton, who could be a second or third round draft pick to go along with yourself, Devin. I mean, what's it about the tight end position, these tight end prospects that come out of the Pioneer Football League? I mean, how cool is it to see these guys go on and make it to the next level?
It's awesome. Maybe it's just a coincidence that they all these guys ended up being tight ends. But a big thing I've always stressed is, anyone playing in the PFL, obviously you're a non-scholarship program, so you're not there for, you're there for personal reasons. You're there because you love football. You're there because you want to get a further education out of school you believe is good for you. And so I just think that attitude of, nothing's given, everything's earned. That kind of grinder, hard-working attitude is definitely instilled in me, and instilled in Eric, and as far down as Dwelly and the kid from Stetson. I feel like they all kind of had that edge to them, that little bit of extra fight, and I feel like that's kind of what showcased them on film, and what allowed them to get to the next level.
A couple more questions for Devin Cates, the tight end out of Drake University, 2020 NFL draft prospect. And Devin, preparing for this interview, I came across an article, and it said that in the offseason you're getting ready to go on a trip to the Bahamas, I believe it was. And then one of your coaches texted you, you're gaining some NFL interest from the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears. They wanted to work you out eventually. Was it that moment when you got that text from your coach that those teams were kind of showing some interest in you, that they wanted to work you out in person? Was it that moment when it really hit you that you had a legit shot at playing professional football?
That was definitely a big moment for me. I was actually on the flight, about to take off, so about to shut my phone off when I got the text. Again, I've always believed in myself. I've always thought that God gave me a special ability as far as athleticism, as far as football ability. I've always feel like I've been gifted, and that because of that, I have to do the most with this gift. So I've always believed in myself, but that definitely made it a little bit more real. Just knowing that they wanted to come see me, and meeting those guys, running in front of them, having them measure me, taking the Wonderlic, all that stuff. That's when it really sunk in that I was like, okay, like not only can I do this, but I'm going to do this. And so I kind of flipped the switch a little bit, and definitely, turned it up and really geared my focus towards having as good of a senior year as possible, and producing the best film for scouts to see.
And that's exactly what you did. I mean, your senior season, you were a all-conference first-team selection. You reeled in a career high, a team high, 51 receptions for 627 yards and 9 touchdowns. Have you been able to meet with any teams throughout this process, or talk with any teams through phone call or FaceTime? Devin, I mean, any idea how the teams are viewing you as a prospect as we're now just a week away from the start of the draft?
Yeah, I've talked to multiple scouts through text, phone calls. I've had some, FaceTime interviews, if you would call them, with tight end coaches as well. Just feel like a lot of teams, again, I didn't play a true tight end role in college. So the film it's not exactly what they want to see as far as position-wise. And, again, I play in the PFL, and so it's a little bit lower competition level than, your big FBS schools, But from speaking with my agent, I more than believe that whether I'm going to get drafted late or, sign as the undrafted free agent, that a team is going to be willing to give me a shot. And, whatever team that is, I'm fully prepared and fully committed to, fitting whatever mold they need me to fit and, being the best contributor I can be. And then, again, going on top of that is not only am I a tight end wide receiver, but I played all 4 special teams in college. And that's a huge, huge, huge deal at the next level because you can only have so many guys on your roster. So, whether you're a starter or a backup, pretty much everyone's got to play special teams. And so, I had that experience playing special teams, all four phases, punt, block, kickoff, return. I've been on all of them. I've played multiple positions on all of them. I know how to tackle. I know how to block. And so I definitely think that I'm excited about that role at the next level, being able to contribute in any way. And, I think special teams is definitely overlooked from a viewer standpoint. When people are watching, on TV, the only special teams they really care about is field goal. But when really punt, block, all that plays a huge, huge, huge role in the outcome of a game. And so I'm excited about that role at the next level. And, I think I can definitely excel in it.
And it all goes back to the more you can do. And obviously, not only offensively, but on special teams as well. You have a ton of experience, so teams definitely love to hear that. Final question. It's a question I end all of my prospect interviews with, Devin. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the tight end, the special team standout, the all-around athlete, Devin Cates out of Drake University, a part of their team?
Number one thing, I'm extremely coachable. That's a big thing at the next level. You tell me something once, it's sticking with me. I'm not going to have to ask again. I'm a student of the game, as far as film, study sessions go. I feel like the mental aspect of football is overlooked a lot of times. So I'm a student of the game. I'm willing to, get in that playbook, get in that film room, and, develop the best ways to have advantages on the field. I'm a grinder. I always strive to be the hardest working guy in the room, whether it's in the weight room, in the classroom, or on the field. And again, I'm versatile. I can line up at multiple positions. I can play special teams. I'm willing to do whatever you ask of me. I'm willing to fit whatever mold that a team needs of me. And so, I'm 100% committed, 100% determined, to succeed at the next level. So, whatever team is willing to give me a shot, I'm very thankful for that. And, I promise I won't disappoint.
Well said. Devin, I really appreciate you taking the time this evening. Congratulations on the standout career that you had there at Drake University. And, again, that virtual pro day sounds like you put up some really impressive numbers. Congrats on all of that. Obviously, the preparation for that really paid off, it looks like. So, again, just congrats on all the success, and we're really looking forward to seeing what next week holds for you as, again, we're only a week away from the start of the 2020 NFL Draft. Devin, wishing you all the best, man.
I really appreciate you having me on. It was awesome to talk.